But you had some massive success in the early days of New York hip-hop.
Yes.
So tell me a bit about that while I fill up my cup.
Okay.
Coffee here.
So it's my story, just to give you a quick run-through. It starts with me in the early 90s becoming a member of the Rocksteady crew. Now, if you know who the Rocksteady crew are, if you've seen the movie Beat Street, if you've seen the movie Wild Style or Style Wars, they were the quintessential, one of the most iconic b-boy breakdancing crews on the planet.
At the time. And what year was this?
I wasn't a dancer, though. So Crazy Legs, who's the president of that of that crew, he brought me in because I went to school with his sister, and they gave him a demo tape, and he heard it, and he was like, yo, I want to take you to some open mics and some clubs, and pretty much put me under his wing. And
what was on your demo tape?
Oh, it's like 3 songs.
That you wrote hip-hop?
Yeah, hip-hop songs. So at the time, I was rapping. I always loved rock, but it was in the neighborhood that I was in, it was extremely difficult, to find kids that played instruments. New York was a little different in that perspective because rap music was becoming a force at that point. So everybody was heavily leaning towards that. There was a scene, there was the New York hardcore scene as well, but I just found myself at first going towards hip-hop. So,
which is funny because we met over rock.
Right. And that story is interesting because the person that connects me to that is Fieldy from Korn. And the reason why, he's one of the reasons why I do what I do today, having different genre. Him and Crazy Legs are 2 of the reasons why I'm in rock.
Were they connected?
No.
So they're completely separate paths, but somehow you were in the middle of that path.
Yes.
So how does that come together? Like, what's the connection between those? How do you go from hip-hop to rock?
Crazy Legs knew that I always loved rock, but never figured it out. And one day he had, during the MySpace days, he told me, he's like, Q, look, you love rock, you could do it. Why don't you just go look for, guitar player, drummer, go on MySpace, put out an ad. He pushed me. And so I did that, and I ended up finding this band from Long Island called Unsound. And they ended up covering some of the Q Unique material. And we went and we did the Vans Warped Tour. And that was the turning point. And then I got a call from Bobby Ruiz from Tribal Gear, which is a clothing company from San Diego. And he suggested I do a song with Fieldy from Korn. So he connected that, which was so random. It was like a cold, like we were talking earlier, like a cold call. Hey, Q, what are you doing? Nothing. You think you would ever record with Fieldy from Korn? It was such a weird question. And I wasn't even really, I knew who they were, but I was so engulfed in hip-hop, wasn't really paying attention. So when we met, day 1, we wrote our first song together. First day. We went out to eat, and then we worked on our first song.
And what album were they on at that point?
They were on See You on the Other Side.
Okay, so
2006.
It was well into it.
Yeah, they were already kings of their domain.
But you have to walk the fine line of at that point there was a bit of the crossover happening, but you're still rooted in New York hip hop.
At that point, yes.
Right. So you're like, I'm going to stay in this world. I want to stay in this world. Or are you feeling like you want to? You're just trying to be creative and you're going for it.
I was trying to be creative, and when I did the Vans Warped Tour, being around all of those bands, and specifically being around the New York hardcore bands, H2O and Madball, they had a project called Hazen Street. So being a fly on the wall, and Lords of Brooklyn, so being a fly on the wall and watching them closely, and just letting my own wheels turn on the whole thing. And after Crazy Legs had told me to move into this direction, that was like the seed was starting to sprout. So I once Fieldy invited me over his house, and then he invited me on tour, and I started seeing it on a larger scale. I was like, well, let's try to do something here. I don't know what it's going to be. And I happened to sing on one of our demos. There wasn't no strategy to it. I just felt like, oh, this part needs a singing part. So
this was the hip-hop demo that you submitted, or this is the one that you did with Fieldy?
This is the one I'm doing with Fieldy.
Gotcha.
This is one of the demos I was doing with Fieldy.
Gotcha.
And when he heard it, he was the one that was like, dude, you can sing? And from that point on, I just wrote more and more, and it just blossomed into whatever I am today, which is, I kind of liken myself to somebody like Everlast, who's a homie of mine, who will do his blues and his rock, and he'll do his hip hop. And he has the attitude of, well, I could do both. So I view it that way. Like, I'm enjoying doing anything at this point, musically or entertainment.
Thanks for stopping by, friends, to the Brenton On Tour podcast channel on YouTube. Coffee, music, travel, life, all of those things. One page, lots of guests, lots of chatter. We talk about all of it. If you like it, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment. I'll get back to you. Thanks, friends. See you next time.